FM News Talk 97.1.
On-demand audio.
This is currently Missouri Governor Jay Nixon's spring jam. Under pressure. Bowie and Queen. I mean, honestly, it doesn't get any better than that. DanaRadio.com, RedState.com. Find me on Twitter, DLash, and the Dana Show page, 971talk.com/Dana. You can go to Red State or Dana Radio and check out this letter from Janet Napolitano, signed yours very truly, to the Honorable Jeremiah Nixon, dated March 17th, 2010, which really puts... shows the governor's remarks, a couple of weeks ago after the first hearing about the scandal with private information, concealed carry, Department of Revenue. Not only was he contradicted by the head of the Highway Patrol, but now even by DHS, as this letter has shown. Joining me right now on the phone, we have Missouri's Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder and the prosecuting attorney who kicked all of this off from Stoddard County, Russ Oliver. Gentlemen, good afternoon to you both.
Good afternoon, Dana.
We'll start with Mr. Oliver. I'd like to start with you. This, when you first heard about this story, obviously I don't think anyone realized how deep that this went. And this story was initially ignored by the governor. It was initially ignored by still ignored by the attorney general. This has gone a lot farther than I think anyone realized, and it was known about for a lot longer than anyone realized. This letter dated March 17th, 2010. To me, Russ Oliver, this shows that not only was the governor aware that the law was being broken in the state of Missouri with regard to compliance of the Real ID Act, but it seems sanctioned to me. Now, what would be the legal recourse for this?
Well, that's the amazing thing about this whole situation is that, it started out with a guy that felt like the incremental approach of liberalism stepping into the fabric of our society, and he just had enough, and he just wanted to protect his gun rights, and started with that, and nobody thought this would go where it's went, because there's been a simple solution this whole time, and that simple solution is, Governor Nixon, just stop what you're doing, go back to the status quo of what was 4 months ago, but that would have resolved this whole thing, but he's refused to do that. Now we see why he's refused to do that, because he's obviously been more involved in this than we ever imagined. And
this all came about because someone filed a complaint. They knew what their rights were, and they knew what the laws in the state of Missouri were.
That's exactly right. I mean, the law said that my client had to go and take a training course. He went and took the training course. It said that he had to go and have a background check done. He went and had the background check done. He went and got approved by the sheriff. He did everything that the law said that he had to do, but DOR wanted to do something that wasn't in the law and actually was expressly prohibited by the law. And he said, enough is enough, and said we had to stop this at some point.
Have you been contacted by other individuals with similar experiences?
From all over the state.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow. And so I would bet that this is probably happening in other parts of the country. Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder is also on the phone with us. Lieutenant Governor, this is, the last time I think that I spoke with, it may have been Senator Schaefer or Speaker of the House Tim Jones. We were wondering where, since it seems quite clear that the governor was just sanctioned all of this, knew about it since at least 2010, perhaps, obviously earlier. What legal action can the state of Missouri take? I know that we are now looking at hiring perhaps another attorney to do Chris Koster's job, but is this an impeachable offense?
Dana, I don't want to pronounce that word or go there. That's the gravest possible remedy for misconduct of an executive branch official. I will leave that to others in the legislative branch. That's their business. But this is a very serious matter. Thank you for your work on it. Thank you for having Russ and me on to discuss it today. Again, we're discussing a March 17 letter 3 years ago, 2010. From Janet Napolitano of Homeland Security to Governor Nixon, thanking him for doing what he has been saying he isn't doing, and misleading Missourians consistently since we began discussing this in the first days of March.
Right.
And Governor Nixon, when he has supplied answers, has either been fumblingly, stumblingly inarticulate or has misled Missourians.
Now, this violates a number of Missouri state statutes that I wanted to ask you about, because these basically the law that prohibits Missouri's full compliance with the Real ID Act of '05. This is something that Governor Nixon actually signed into effect.
He signed the law into effect in 2009. Probably it would have been June of 2009, so 7 months, 8 months before this, March 2010 letter, thanking him for doing what he said he's been saying he wasn't doing. So this is one document that Russ Oliver, and all credit to Russ Oliver, who found this in the documents turned over to Senator Schaefer pursuant to his subpoena. But Russ found this, and Russ should get the credit. But it is one document among 86,000, and we've probably been able to scan and actually look at only a fraction of those. Wow.
And all of this is, of course, for folks who may be who may be just tuning in or not following the story. This was private information that was sent. It was a joint request from the Social Security Administration and the ATF on behalf of DHS, and they were wanting a lot. They were wanting more than Missouri law was allowed to give them of citizens' private information. So this, I mean,
and it was turned over.
And it wasn't just turned over; it was dropped in an unencrypted disk and sent through the USPS, which then poses the question: well, how many other individuals have this information about all of these Missouri citizens?
Yeah, and Dana, there's another track on which this is proceeding as you and I speak. Senator Schaefer convened a hearing about a half an hour ago of his committee, and he has the official from, I believe, Social Security Administration who requested the documents. The guy voluntarily came out and responded to a request from Senator Schaefer that he come out and testify. So that testimony has been going on for the last 25 minutes or so.
Yeah. Wow.
So there is more to come.
Yes.
There's more to come on this.
And I wanted to ask the Stoddard County Prosecuting Attorney, Russ Oliver, as well, because I'm getting, as I'm sure both of you gentlemen are as well, so many inquiries from individuals who are saying, well, we believe we were on that list. What can we do? What legal recourse, what anything can we do? And how do you answer those questions?
Well, the going to court is about the only thing that you can do, because we have an unresponsive administration that has not listened to the outcry of Missourians that say that they don't support this, that they think that this is wrong and that it needs to stop. And an entire both legislative bodies saying that this needs to stop, and just the unresponsiveness of the government leaves it to where the people only have the courts and retaining a lawyer and incurring all of that expense just to protect their rights.
Yeah, and this is, and I hear as well that this representative from the Social Security Administration involved in this, that the lieutenant governor was discussing, had confirmed that it was an unencrypted disk with all of Missouri citizens' information dropped in the mail, and he said this under oath. It's scary, and one of the reasons why this story is so important is because here we have laws that are protecting the privacy of Missouri citizens, but what good are those laws if Lieutenant Governor, we have elected officials in office who take an oath of office to protect us, to uphold these laws, and they don't do their job? Yeah,
that's a good question, Dana, but let me assure you, the executive branch, my office, we are holding their feet to the fire. We are all over this. The legislative branch is holding the executive branch to account here. They're not going to get away with this. We are going to get answers. I believe now the governor must respond affirmatively to the subpoena that Russ Oliver issued him. He won't testify on Friday, but he will, I believe. Surely the judge will now order that the governor must testify, since we now know he had personal knowledge what was going on here, contrary to 2 months of denials.
Yes. And
Dana, for your listeners, thank you so much. They can share the letter that I posted on my Facebook. They can like my Facebook page, and you've done a great job on your blog and Red State. They should read those articles.
Perfect. And Lieutenant Governor, I want to thank you very much for sounding the alarm on this. I have a last quick question for Mr. Oliver, because at first Governor Nixon was expected to testify Friday. Is this going to be something that they're going to duck and dodge for months on end? Are we ever going to get any answers from this?
I don't have a crystal ball to look into the future.
Wish you did.
But what I can tell you is what they've done so far, and duck and dodge is exactly the way that I would describe it. The reason why the deposition that was scheduled for Friday was continued was because John Molenkamp, who is now the director of the Department of Revenue, was the lawyer for the Department of Revenue because he was then the deputy director. When he became the director, he became a party to the action, but that happened on April 11th. A few weeks ago. They didn't file their motion to continue this or for him to get a new lawyer until this past Friday. And so it leads one to believe that this is a duck and dodge maneuver because he could have filed it back on April 11th. He knew that he was going to be a party and couldn't continue as a lawyer. And so it's very problematic, in my view, that they didn't do it back then, and they waited until the time delay of getting a new lawyer would delay it past the time that was scheduled for the deposition.
One more, in addition to what he said about duck and dodge, still one more aspect to that, Dana. John Molenkamp, who he just mentioned, our new acting director, the third acting director of Revenue not confirmed by the Senate we've had in 5 months. Okay, was thought to be coming this morning to Senator Schmidt's hearing, the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules. He did not show. He sent an underling. That sends a signal as well. Why wouldn't the acting director show himself to answer the senator's questions?
Wow, exactly. That is a great
question.
More
duck and dodge.
More. Well, and I think it's going to take a lot of citizens raising a lot of heat to get some answers on this. This is their private information at stake. Regardless how they feel about the Second Amendment, this could happen with any particular issue. It's important.
The privacy rights of Missourians that have been compromised here and our confidence in our government undermined.
Wow. Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder and Stoddard County Prosecuting Attorney Russ Oliver. Gentlemen, thank you both so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you, Dana.
All right, thank you.